fought by faith, leaning on the everlasting arms. We've heard many people come up and sing many songs. We've heard many people get up and say their inspirational messages. But if you serve an amazing God, my challenge for you tonight is to just lift up your hands and just start to worship the amazing God, the lover of your soul. Lift up your hands and just begin to love on the amazing God. What is he to you? What is he to you? God, you're amazing. God, you're awesome. God, you're the peace-giving God. God, you're my strong tower. God, you're my sustainer. God, you're everything I need you to be. You've been my mother during motherless moments. You've been my father during fatherless moments. When I found myself in the midnight hour, laying on my bed, tears streaming from my eyes, you reminded me that even in those moments that you were the great big God, and mighty are the works of your hands. Because in my hands, my situation was too much. In my hands, I couldn't handle it all. In my hands, it was too hard for me. But when I woke up one day and I put it in your hands, all I had to do is give you an exchange. I gave you my tears and you gave me joy. I gave you my hurt and you gave me strength. Because you are amazing, I didn't have to worry about who was going to be in my corner. I didn't have to worry about who was going to show up for me. But all I had to do was look to the hills from which cometh my help. My help, it comes from the Lord. My joy, it comes from the Lord. My peace, it comes from the Lord. My healing, it comes from the Lord. Mighty are the works of your hand. Delivering God you are. Saving God you are. Restoring God you are. Renewing God you are. You are amazing. And there's nobody like you. While preparing for tonight, I began to think about a sermon that I preached at our church. And it gave the illustration of how when you're driving on the interstate, you have a huge truck. And typically in front of that huge truck, there's a smaller truck that says heavy load moving. And so what you would notice is in front of the heavy load, the truck has the sign and it is going just fast enough so that the heavy load truck doesn't hit it. You have your heavy load in the middle, and behind the heavy load, you have another truck that says heavy load moving. And what God had to remind me when looking at that is he goes before us and he has our miracle protected. He's right there in the midst of with us. He's still protecting our miracle, but he doesn't forget what's behind us. He still protects us. So at any given time, nothing can overtake us. At any given moment, nothing can stop what he has for us, because he goes before us, making sure everything is all right. But he's in the midst of the storm with us. He's in the midst of the sickness with us. He's in the midst of the miscarriage with us. He's in the midst of the divorce with us. He's in the midst of the pain with us. But he has a truck that says heavy load carrying. And so one thing I want to remind us is when we come to church, we have several appeals. But as I began to study why we have those appeals, one appeal stood out to me. And it says that the reason that we have altar appeals at church is because it provides us the opportunity to decide. What are we deciding? If we're going to give it all to God or if we're going to keep it? What are we deciding? Is he big enough to handle it, or are we just saying words? What are we going to decide? Are we going to let him lead our life, or are we going to keep carrying it? What are we going to decide? If we're going to let him have it all and be the center of our life, Or are we just going to keep coming to service after service and leaving the same way? Coming into the building, getting a good laugh and cry. Coming into the building to get a good shout and dance. And then before we can even get to our cars, tears streaming from our eyes. Because we're wondering, God, I went to your house. Why didn't anybody see me? God, I went to that service. And why didn't anybody feel me? So tonight, we have this altar appeal, an opportunity for you to decide. Are you ready to really give it to God? Or are you going to keep living life the same way? Are you really ready to give it over to Him, the one that can renew and restore you? Or are you just going to keep living the same way? Going back to the illustration of the heavy load, He goes before us, and then in the middle is where our miracle. If my memory serves me correctly, today is September 14th, which means we are around the middle of the month of September. It's Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. Many of us have been in the place where we have said, God, I want to end it all. God, I want to take my own life. I don't want to fight anymore. I don't want to be here anymore. Nobody will even notice that I'm gone. God, I'm tired of dealing with this. If that's you, I won't even ask you to come down to the altar, but my prayer, I just want you to repeat after me. Father, forgive me for wanting to be the God in my life. Father, forgive me for not trusting you the way that I say it. Father, forgive me for not giving my all to you. Father, forgive me for wanting to kill myself prematurely. Father, forgive me for not understanding what you have inside of me. Father, forgive me for not giving it to you, God. But today, I give you my life. I give you my mind. I give you my heart. I give you my soul. God, and I decree and I declare that in this moment, there's so much more to my story. You're not done with me yet. There's so much more to my story. You're not done with me yet. Yes, the rape happened, but there's so much more to my story. Molestation happened, but it's so much more to my story. Suicide tried to happen, but it's so much more to my story. And Daddy God, I thank you that wasn't the end of my story. God, I thank you that you have more for me, because you're not done with me yet.
You're not done with me yet.